now calling this meeting to order. Please stand with us. I'll be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. Please remain standing after that for the Pledge of Allegiance. They'll be led by Alderman Payne.
Heavenly Father, once again we come before you asking for your wisdom, Lord. Lord, we pray for each and every person here, Lord, and for the citizens of our city, Lord. Pray that you would continue to bless us and watch over us and bless our meeting tonight. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda this evening is the approval of minutes for the October 5 meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 5th, 2021, with the additions, deletions, or corrections.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the Tri-State Compact Agency financial contribution. I'll explain this again. This is the topic that we talked about for the prior two meetings. It's a group called Region Smart that's attempting to put together a regional collaboration involving 3 states, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas, to allow us to have more collaboration and bargaining power with the federal government for both funding and other projects like that. So at this point, the initial plan is to hire the consultant that I told you about out of that ran the St. Louis bi-state agency, and then pay as we go, like a consultant fee. The total that was requested was $150,000. The city of Memphis stepped up and funded half of that off the bat, so 75 is out of the way. The other 75,000 will be divided by all 3 states, counties in the 3 states that we talked about. What I'm going to ask tonight for our city, I know that some of the other cities in DeSoto County are doing this tonight as well. If you break it down evenly with the population in DeSoto County, our share would be approximately $7,500. What I'm asking you tonight is for authority to go up to $10,000. The reason we don't know there's so many moving parts. If one city says no and doesn't want to do it, we don't want to kill the whole thing. So obviously, if everybody doesn't participate, then your per share is a little bit higher. So I'm asking for authority tonight to contribute $10,000 to this compact agency, and then we will know. Obviously, we'll know with an update who all is participating. That money would come from our capital improvement line. Again, the reason that I advocated for us to be in this, let me just get right to the point. I mean, it's about the, for lack of a better term, the unsexy stuff. I mean, we have the utility problem with Memphis going on right now. We're going to have some money to solve that problem. Eventually, what's probably going to happen is we're going to connect with the CRUA. That's not a cheap fix. It's major money. It's bigger than the city and county. The other thing is transportation infrastructure. No doubt, we've been talking to everybody that will listen in Washington and in Jackson about the widening of Interstate 55 and Church Road. We need the Star Landing interchange. Highway 51 has become a big-time problem for us, too. And when the state looks at you and says, hey, we hear you, no doubt, you got a good point. The traffic counts are there, but we have no money. How long, my point again, I'm not being disrespectful to any of my colleagues or to any of my superior elected officials, but the bottom line is, when are we going to do something different? If we've been saying the same thing and we don't have funding for 8 years, how long are we just going to say we don't have funding and do nothing about it? And so that's what caught my interest with this is a potential way that there could be some collaboration with 3 states to get more money into the Mid-South area, which could help us solve some of these problems. So my recommendation to this board is that it's worth $10,000 to us to investigate this. If we find out that, hey, it's not going to work out like we thought, it's worth a try, in my opinion. So again, I'm asking you tonight to authorize the City of Southaven to contribute up to $10,000.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor, Mayor, I've got a quick question. In your meetings that you had, was there any discussion with the other counties and other states about how, I guess, how it would work as far as projects go? For instance, there may be some projects that would be very beneficial to Tennessee and Arkansas, but it would not be beneficial to us. Actually, for instance, them widening, the interchange and widening 55 all the way down to Tornado would not be beneficial for Tennessee. Were there discussions, was that mentioned?
That's fundamental to every discussion because, and you may remember when I first started talking about this, what was discussed, and that was one of the main questions that went to John Nations, is how they were successful in Illinois and Missouri in doing that, and getting over the hurdles that you just mentioned, making sure that any allocation was something that was an agreement from everybody, not just something that was going to benefit one piece of that. And so the way that they did that successfully is they did subdivisions on the board. So like the way this would work is that there would be one board that would consist of reps from all 3 states. And so for there to be any kind of allocation whatsoever, it would obviously have to pass by a majority vote of the full board. But then in addition to that, it would have to have a majority vote for all the components. So each subdivision of the board in Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee would also have to vote to approve or else it dies. And so obviously that would kill a lot of things that, hey, maybe something that benefits one area but not the whole region. The whole concept is it's a regional thing. It's something that's good for the whole region. So if it's not something good for the whole region, it dies. And that's how it's set up, the safeguard in place to make it have a subdivided majority in each state as well as the overall. The reason obviously for that is there have been organizations like this in the past that failed for that very reason. Eventually some of the money went to one, then you get bitterness going on, and then before long it starts splintering and the organization ends. The other thing that I would liken this to, y'all know that we've had tremendous success with the MPO. I view this as an MPO on steroids. So it's the same thing with MPO. There is a defined amount of money that comes down from the federal government to the entire area, and then it's also, there's a process after that to determine how that money gets allocated. The MPO has worked great with all the cities and counties getting a share of that. So I don't think you'll find anybody that has experience with MPO that'll say it's a bad thing. They'll all say, hey, thumbs up on that. So what I see with this, and again, like I said earlier, if at any point we start saying, hey, this is not what y'all said it's going to do, we got to have that subdivided vote in there for safeguards in place. If at any time that changes, that's when I would come to y'all and say, hey, we got to get out. This is not what they told us it was going to be, and let's get out. So it's a long way to answer your question, but there's been an enormous amount of discussion. And in fact, your concern is fundamental to us even entertaining this idea at all. But again, it's an MPO on steroids. That's the way I view it. I think it could be a really good thing if everything goes through. A lot of hoops still to go through. That's one of the reasons that they're trying to move fast. Arkansas, from what I understand, the legislature doesn't meet every year. So this would have to have approval by the state legislatures in all 3 states before it's finalized too. So that's why they're trying to, kind of speed, trying to get the ball rolling, so to speak. Any other questions or comments, concerns? And again, I'm going to say it again. I don't know if this is going to pan out to be great or not. And I'll be the first to come to you and say, hey, some things have changed. I don't like the way this sounds. I don't like the way this is going. But my point is, let's do something. Let's don't sit and say we don't have any money, or the state of Mississippi doesn't have any transportation money. Let's do something different. Okay, if there's no other discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Kane.
Yes.
Alderman Curtis.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorization to purchase virtual academy software.
Just real quick, this is authorization needed from the police department to purchase this software. It's only an amount of $5,075, which is over the $5,000 limit, but the software is actually ancillary to the purchase, the reason for the purchase of the training sessions that are needed. So tonight, make a finding on our minutes that we could purchase the software over $5,000, since it is ancillary to the actual service of training that is needed for our police department.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the Springfest contract.
Yeah, this contract is with Wildcat Cheers, the same contract we've had, or same entity we've used in the past to help with vending services at the, at Springfest, and it'll be authorization for the mayor to sign with Wildcat Cheer, that they'll help with vending services for beverages at the Springfest event, and it sets for paying $350 per person plus any tips they receive.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorization for intergovernmental transfer.
I think we are still waiting on signature from the DeSoto County Schools or DeSoto Central on this, so we can hold it until next meeting if okay. Those for the marquee sign for transfer to them, or we can go ahead and approve it and just assume they'll get it approved on their end after we do that. We have previously surplus this item in accordance with 172525. This would just be a surplus in accordance with the intergovernmental statute 31713 M4. So I don't think they've accepted it yet on their end, but so we can either table it till next meeting or just go ahead and pass it with the understanding they may or may not approve on their end.
Is this the old snow
Yes.
sign? Okay.
Okay.
What are we waiting on from the school?
I think a signature on they'll accept that when we transfer things through the intergovernmental process, we have a contract you sign, and the signature from them usually require that before we take it to our board.
Okay. Who's managing that for us? Is Wes where's Wes? Are you managing that for us?
I'm waiting on the AD to get approval from
Okay.
the county.
All right, so will you bring it back, when you get that, would you bring it back, let's put it back on the agenda?
Yes, sir.
And you give it, you want to table it? Okay. Motion to table by Alderman Flores.
Second.
A second by Alderman Jerome. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll table that, we'll table number 8. Next on the agenda is a resolution for Stormwater Awareness Week.
This is part of our permit that we have for Southaven for stormwater permit. We have Stormwater Awareness Week, and it'll be October 25th through 29th this year. I think that's going to be the one for each entity in the county. So authorization to declare that week Stormwater Awareness Week as set forth in the resolution.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the Pepper Chase Drive Extension. Recommendation for award, Mr. Dan Cordell.
Mayor, Board. We received bids on the Pepper Chase Drive extension. We would like to recommend award to Farrell Paving in the amount of $2,589,158.60 with approval for the mayor to authorize the contract and related documents.
So moved.
We got a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Just to recap for the audience, this is a project to extend Pepper Chase Drive south from the Lander Center. It'll go south along I-55 and then come out back on Highway 51. It's a project that the city received some funding from MDA because of the Medline development to give them another exit route from their establishment. And it'll be big for the city too. It'll help us with event traffic, feeding it back southbound instead of pumping it out onto Church Road. So this is going to be a great project. Dan, you did say it'll be under construction within 60 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that about what figure?
It's actually quite a bit less. Yeah, it's quite a bit less because we changed the route. When we first got the grant, initially we wanted the road to go all the way to Star Landing, be a true frontage road. but with the Star Landing interchange coming, they needed more right-of-way, so that was gonna crowd it. And so MDOT, pushed us back towards 51, and so the route is actually smaller, so it's less expensive. And Dan told me today they're not just gonna let us use that money for something else, probably, they'll probably adjust that, the amount that we get from MDA, is that correct?
We still have to work out the agreement details, but, yeah, it's about $1 million less than what the budget was in the agreement. Now, how the agreement's set up, I haven't given Lee, he's been through, but it will not require any additional funds from us, it should do nothing but go down. But I doubt we'll be able to use the balance on something else.
I'd already put it on another street before he finished the sentence, but he killed that.
We were trying.
But it's gonna be a really good, it'll help, it's a great project. Okay, any other discussion? We did have Andrew first and second already. Yeah, okay. So if there's no other discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is authorization to seek bids for police vehicle equipment.
Just want to see bids and authorize the first auction.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Okay, we had a motion actually by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for Southaven Police Department surplus.
This is just surplus Southaven police department vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorization to seek quotes for a pre-tax voluntary employee paid benefit plan. I believe this is short-term disability, correct?
Thanks, Melody. If you have any specific questions, obviously Melody can answer those better than I can, but tonight we're just authorization to go seek quotes for this plan, and then when the quotes come back, we'll then bring those back to the board for official approval, but tonight it's just authorization to seek quotes, so we can bring something back to you.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Wheeler. And just to add to that, again, this is just to provide another option for our employees. You know, a lot of times we have people that will go on an extended leave, and really that's best covered by a short-term disability insurance policy that we've not offered in the past. So this is just something else that will help protect our employees. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for fiscal year 21 budget amendment.
This is just the final amendment for fiscal 21 year budget, sets forth all the expenditures and expenditures and revenues, basically true up the FY21 budget. Final amendment will then be advertised after approval before tonight. That should have the final numbers as part of the exhibit that were added, and any questions, obviously, you can answer those, but tonight's the authorization to approve this budget amendment and to advertise it.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for sanitation services for temporary commercial events.
This resolution sets forth a fee for temporary commercial events. Evidently the sanitation department is getting more and more requests to utilize garbage or sanitation services at temporary events. As you know, we're not able just to provide that service for free. so we wanted to provide some type of fee structure, so we would be in accordance with state law. So the recommendation was to charge $1.50 per cart per week, which is basically the equivalent we charge for residential customers. So if you have a 2-week event, it'd only be a $3 charge per cart for a 2-week event, $1.50 charge per cart for a 1-week event. So it's not a huge fee whatsoever, but it does allow us to keep consistent with what we charge for our sanitation services, and so we're not donating services to private industries for private events.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, who's gonna empty these cans, and we got the expenses delivered them. I mean, the residential stuff is drop the can there and, you know, we want to pick it up again.
Yeah.
So you got back and forth on each side there, empty it.
Yeah, I'll defer to Bradley on that. I think we'll be doing that, collecting ourselves.
So on Public Works crews, correct, Bradley?
Yes, sir, our public works will be doing that, our own group.
Just seems a little cheap to me.
I agree with Charlie, I think it's a little inexpensive. I mean, the fact of going and putting the cans out, and coming and collecting them after it's done, I mean,
I
that's.
mean, I think, you know, I would be thinking at least, you know, at least 20 bucks a week, you know.
Well, just to make sure everybody understands, we're not talking about, look, this is mainly like a 2-day event, something like that. It's not like that we're doing it all week. They're requesting we put it out. And some of the events are ones that do provide economic benefits to the city. It brings, you know, customers there that spend money, so we are getting benefits through sales tax
So we're
revenue.
not going back and kind of like empty it every day for.
No, Bradley, we're just picking it up one time, right?
Yes, sir, it's my understanding, we'll, for the event they've got, and the first event that was requested, we'll drop them off, and then like in 3 days, we'll go and pick them back up and take them back. I mean, we're not having to go every day and empty them.
You don't want to raise it.
Yeah, but if you want to rate it,
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple thing. That was just what we came up with.
And I asked the same question this morning to Bradley, how do we land on that dollar amount? And I thought it was, you know, wise on his part, we just prorate it based on, you know, what a monthly rate would be, and that's how we got to the $1.50. But, yeah, you guys have the authority to make whatever you want.
I would like that. What's an example of a short-term event that we're talking about?
Silo Square has, in this, one of them's a Silo Square Christmas event,
Yes, sir.
where they block the street off, and they have like the carriage rides and that kind of
So
thing.
they just need some extra cards.
Right, just to keep the streets clean, you know, for that.
And then, yeah, the Christmas tree events they have over there, and then I think Tanger may have a couple every once in a while, just, they need extra garbage, and we just can't donate it to them, so that's kind of.
Yeah, certainly.
I say we try it. If it costs us more than this, then we change it later.
Okay. Well, we can update, and Bradley, if you will, update us if it becomes, you know, more of a burden than just, you know, going and empty them one time, then we'll bring that back before you, and if y'all want to, you know, make an adjustment. You good with doing it that way? Okay. All right. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hooker.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to clean private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution to clean private property as presented on the stage.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion among the board? Is the list in the packet? Whitney's the list in the package?
That should be Austin. Austin, do you have it? Is it in the packet?
It should have been.
There is a list, he submits it to IT, so there should have been a list associated with it.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion among the board? Is there anyone in the audience that has a financial interest in any of the properties that would like to speak? Hearing or seeing none, roll call please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, we only have one item on the agenda tonight, and this is going to be a request to amend the text for Silas Square Land Use Development, specifically for the 12 acres along the frontage and down Main Street in our leisure district area. As you know, with plan unit developments, they get to itemize out all the uses that they want in there and exclude the ones they don't. So it was a very detailed description that we have in the original documents from 2018. As it's obviously progressed, there have been some new uses that are not shown in the text that they feel are creating a hardship on, so they wanted to add them in. You have the list with you, and what you see highlighted in yellow up there on the photo is where they want to do the amendment. Like I said, it's 12 acres associated with it, and most of them are already in there under a generic term, like things like specialty food stores, veterinarian clinic, doctor's offices. Those are under general terms like office and retail services. But there were a couple that we threw up some flags on. You know, this is a leisure district. This is an area where eateries and music and drinking and shopping all take place. So they did have daycare facilities, nursery schools, preschools, and tutoring places, which we did not feel matched the leisure district area. So we did ask them to remove those. They did concede to that. With those changes, we accepted all the other uses associated with the application, and it was voted unanimously in favor by the planning commission.
Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation that we approve item number 1 on the consent agenda as presented tonight.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hughes.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is we've got a request from Lindsay Matzik with Waste Connections to introduce as a new marketing representative for the city.
Thank you, Mayor, thank you, Board, for allowing me to be on tonight's agenda. My name is Lindsay Massick, and I am the new municipal marketing representative from Wind Connections, and just wanted to come to your meeting to introduce myself. Stacy Michael was the previous municipal rep, and she is still with Waste Connections, but just has moved over to the role. My background is deep in providing excellent customer service, and work very, very hard to make sure I meet your expectations. The Waste Connections is proud to be able to be a silver sponsor for the Spring Fest next week, and we've also been able to participate in the 4th of July events, and we're active in the South Asian Chamber of Commerce. So I just wanted to introduce myself, and I'm excited about this new role, and my goal is to become a resource to you all and to the community. So I have cards, if you'd like me to leave those, or I can drop them by the office. Just please reach out, email, or call with any questions.
If you want, you can leave them on this table. Yeah.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you coming forward, and it's very nice to meet you. And you know that you play a key role. You know, the sanitation services to our citizens. There's a lot of engagement, obviously, with our citizens with those services, and there's a lot of room for outstanding service there. So it's a big deal for us to have someone that we know is committed to helping our citizens have good service. So we look forward to having a good relationship with you. We're going to need you.
Definitely want to make sure that that's not something you're having to worry about. And then we'll do our best to work with Bradley.
Working with Bradley, yeah.
And Public Works.
Well, outstanding. Well, thank you so much. Has anybody got any questions?
I'd like to ask, and sanitation is probably the number one thing we get phone calls from around here. Just pickups, that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know if you're short-staffed and that kind of stuff. Hopefully you're going to get that work together, but I mean, it's going to continue to problem. And so we'd love to get to where we're not getting any calls every week from people who have problems with the trash. So I'm glad to see that you're here. You got a big job ahead.
Yes, and I've worked closely with Ashley Stanton and Kelly Frazier, and we get daily reports in the morning and the evening, and we
key is, you know, that we do have somebody obviously in your business, you know, there are random things that happen where there are misses, that's just part of the nature of the beast. But the key is that we have someone like you, you know, that has the same customer service standards that we do. When there is a miss, we get somebody out there quickly and put a smile on their citizens' face.
It does. Also, and please drive back to if you do have an issue that needs immediate attention.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. Anybody got anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is our mayor's report. I'm going to run through a few quick things. Shows at Soche, our second movie night is this Thursday night at dusk, and the movie that's being shown is Coco. And I understand that the kids love this movie. I've never seen it, but I understand that the kids love it. And we have been working extra hard to market this new event. You know, we had the one in September that was the first one. This is the second one. We put flyers in the take-home packs of our elementary schools. And we've, again, been marketing on social media, but please help us spread the word. We want this to be a fun event. We do know that we can't make everything perfect for everybody. You know, we know that the kids are in school, but it's a Thursday night. You know, maybe the moms and dads will let their kids stay up just a little bit later, since it's you know, Thursday night and we just have Friday school day before they get into the weekend. Then we'll carry this into the spring when obviously when the weather gets good again. We'll try to move it into the summer when the kids are out of school, if the heat is not too bad. But anyway, this is our second one, and like the new things that we're doing, you have to start somewhere. We got to get it going, and so we think this will be a fun tradition for our city. So please spread the word. That we'll be showing Coco on Thursday night. It'll be out here in the grassy area, right behind the pavilion at Soche Park. It was a really nice setup last time for the last movie. It's actually the perfect setup. It's a nice grassy area, perfect location. So anyway, please help me spread the word on that. May Boulevard pedestrian bridge grand opening. That is up and coming. We're within weeks of having the bridge done. Just some frequently asked questions. The question was, why did we lay the bridge structure in August, but the bridge is still not open? The bridge structure is just a piece of that. There's a lot of other parts that go with the bridge being done. Elevators have been installed. That's a complicated process. The traffic changes, they've been working on all the widening the mouths of May Boulevard for safety and for proper traffic flow. That's been underway, so we're getting to the end, but there was a lot of work that had to be done after the bridge structure was actually installed. So we expect that the grand opening will be probably the first week in November, something like that, which if you go back and look at the notes, which is right on time with our initial projections. So that's coming up in the near future. Main Street pedestrian project update. Y'all seen all the construction on Main Street between Highway 51 and Northwest Drive, and then coming up Northwest Drive. If you haven't seen it, take a ride tomorrow during the daylight hours where you can check it out. It's really going to be a special project for us. It's adding walkways on both sides of the road, and up Northwest Drive connecting to Soche Park. You know, there's economic development experts all around this country that will tell you how important pedestrian paths are for cities and the success of cities now. Don't take it from little Mayor Musselwhite. Go to people all around this country. They'll tell you that. And so we've done taken a lot of steps in this city to make our city more pedestrian friendly. So this Main Street project is big time. And plus you got the new signals at Whitworth and Maine, which will allow pedestrian options for crossing right there. I can't help but think of the Christmas parade. It's just when we finally can have a normal Christmas parade again. Y'all know that when we're throwing out candy, the kids are running all over the street. Now the kids, they're still gonna run the street, but at least we have a safe way for people to walk up and down during the Christmas parade. It's really gonna be special. So anyway, just trying to ask everybody to kind of celebrate a positive thing with us. That one is projected to be done with the actual walks themselves in mid-November, and then of course we got cleanup and wrapping up loose ends, which will carry into December. So it'll probably be mid-December before it's totally done. You may get some calls forward about issues with the yards. Y'all know that in a residential yard there is an easement, a public easement towards the roadway. The city has the authorization to make changes to that, but it does touch yards, so I never blame anybody for being sensitive to their yards. So just the message is, if you're not happy with the way the sod was laid down, we'll have somebody come out and inspect that. We want everybody to be happy as much as we can. So anyway, the message is, let us know. We'll get somebody back out there if somebody has questions about it. Food Truck Friday is, we had our second week of that, but the first week we had actual participation. Again, that's being ramped up. It's starting slow, but it was a success at the Springfest Circle last Friday. There was 2 vendors out there, and our city clerk's office has been working hard to help us recruit. Christy Faulkner has also been soliciting, trying to get the participation going. The word that they're sending back to me is that people are excited they're coming. They had prior commitments in their calendar. That's why we haven't had a ton of them yet, but we believe in each week we're going to have more vendors out there. But it's a fun thing. I went out to the Circle at Springfest and just sat in my truck and watched for a while Friday, and the people were coming. They were showing up, and they loved it, and the food was outstanding. So I think it's going to be a really cool event for our city. So please, again, help me spread the word about Food Truck Friday. And again, it's 2 locations. It's at the Springfest Circle, and it's also at the Southaven Arena. Both of them are prime locations. You can't beat the traffic flows in both of those areas. The arena is just north of, Wolfrock Corner, Goodman, and 51. Heavy traffic flow there, and then obviously Getwell provides, a lot of consumer traffic as well. So help me promote Food Truck Friday as well. And that's all I have this evening. Is there any questions for me? Hearing none, we'll move on. Next on our agenda is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the personnel docket as presented on this evening.
We have a motion, Alderman Payne, second Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update.
Yeah, this item came in late, as I emailed the board this afternoon. This is for the bid associated, or not associated, for the canopy for the utility department area at City Hall. We received 2 bids. The low bid was from Murphy & Sons, and out of $184,276. I think the recommendation tonight from the work department is to go ahead and proceed with this due to the fact that we're not sure if we went to bid again, that we would get the same low bid due to supply chain issues and potential inflation associated with construction. So recommendation is tonight is to authorize Murphy & Sons as the low bid for that project and sign the email contracts necessary for the construction.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Jerome. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that motion carries. Next on the agenda is the utility bill adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the utility bill leak adjustment docket as presented on this evening.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. We'll take this opportunity just to update everybody real quickly again. Y'all know that in previous meetings I've been updating everybody on the completion of our automated meter readers. We're almost, the last meeting we were 86%. I think we're almost done having those in there. Anytime you change something, you're gonna see some response from citizens. We've had a few calls about water bills, just to make sure everybody understands the cost of water has not gone up in Southaven. There are many things that come into play when you're talking about your water bill. Sometimes until we get this thing implemented, your meter read may be for a different number of days. Every time, like one time it may be 25 days, the next month it may be 35 days, so there's naturally going to be a little bit of fluctuation in your bill. If there's a large amount of fluctuation in your bill, then you should call our staff. We have a team of people that are just are outstanding, at taking the customer service calls, doing research checking to make sure there's not a leak. So if a citizen has a difference in their bill, they should contact us and let us check it out, make sure it's right. But I can't say this without telling you that the purpose of these AMRs was to improve accuracy. And so it's highly possible that with a physical human being checking your meter every month, that there were some estimations going on that weren't as accurate. There's a reason we did this, to improve accuracy. So there's some people that, hey, they got a break. You know, they were not being charged properly, and now they're being charged correctly. So, so my recommendation to you is that you've been getting water for a lower cost, so I wouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. I would just say thank you and move on. So, but anyway, that's out there. And just want everybody to understand that that when you hear calls about, hey, my water bill went, the cost of water did not go up in Southaven. If there's a fluctuation again, it could be that it's the meter read was not for exactly 30 days. It could have been you know, a little margin of one way or the other. If there's a significant difference, contact our team. We'll check it out and make sure it's accurate, but you can bet that AMRs are more accurate than we've ever had in the history of the city. With that being said, any other comments on the utility bill adjustment document?
I'll say, I'm not like an old water bill, so I guess, I'll give it a couple more months and maybe it'll even out. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a surprise, huh?
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's a team waiting on your phone call. We'll check it out for you, and we'll make sure that you know you're being treated fairly. That's the thing. And Alderman Hoots commented earlier about frequency of calls with sanitation. I can assure you that water bills give that a pretty tough run. Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion about the utility bill adjustment? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is well, it's one, right? We're just one claims docket this time.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the claims docket in the amount of $2,124,148.88, including demand checks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the purpose of determining the need for executive session. We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Hoots. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is property acquisition, litigation involving city property, security personnel, plans and devices, and economic development within the city. Is there a motion to declare executive session? We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Jerome. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.